Yeah, all right, we're pretty excited right now. This is springtime near the Wire to Fish office in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and we have a really narrow pre-spawn window before our fish spawn. We're the only state that doesn't have a catch and release year-round season for largemouth bass, so we can start targeting bass on the second weekend in May. But boy, a lot starts happening that second weekend in May. Fish start bedding up, whatever. So we're just right on that little cusp right now. It's that sweet spot. Water temps are in the 60s, and I think we're gonna have a good day, Nick.
I'd say so. We just got into a little hot spot right here. This was all of a sudden me and Ryan doubled up there. There's another little one on that jackhammer. Look at that thing. He destroyed it. Yeah,
immediately. Raptors down. Let's see what we can do. But our trees are just starting to bud, like everything's coming alive. The shallows fill up with bait fish, and obviously panfish move up, and bass are right there too. Oop, look at that, I had one move on it, I think there. So we're just gonna run through a bunch of different baits, primarily moving baits. And the one thing that seems to be most important during this early bass season up in the Great Lakes states is water temperature. So we're always looking at our water temperature gauge and trying to find the warmest water. That's where the majority of the bait fish is going to be, and the bass tend to stack up like cordwood in those areas. And you want to find those small areas that have hundreds of fish where you can just make cast after cast after cast and keep catching. It's the best time of the year. And we're just going to go down these banks here, and the fish will spread out on just mud, but certainly any available cover, you know. We have this nice bank grass, but a lay down is going to be a key area, like that little bit of brush there, a stump. Oh, fish on. All right, spinnerbait it is.
Nothing crazy, but
we like action, Nick.
Yeah,
we like action.
Solid little guy, and they're thick. Just chunky. I like that.
There's fish up there right on the bank. They're just on the bank. Like that. There's a big one, boys. Ah, felt nicer. We'll see. It's getting smaller. Just a buck. They are tough. This is just developing as we go. What we found out real quick is on the bank, just tight to the bank. So 3/8 ounce spinnerbait I switched up to after Nick was catching them really good on that 3/8 ounce chatterbait, something that we can just hover up high. And we have a shallow, you know, square bill crankbait on the deck. I grabbed a jerk bait for the heck of it, a weedless swim bait, swim jig as we fish along and encounter different stuff. But we just want to kind of keep moving. The fish bite.
That was so cool.
The fish are biting if they're around.
That was so cool.
It's going to be hard to beat that chatterbait.
I threw it up. Look at that thing. Look how hard they're hitting that thing. It's all destroyed. This thing was brand new out the package when we got here. I cast it right up against the bank. I got like 4 feet off the bank. A big wake comes and he just cranked that thing.
I got one. Oh, sorry. Little guy.
What's going on?
Little guy. That's good to see.
Mayhem.
Well, they're very happy. It makes me very happy. It's a lot of fish in a small zone though. I mean, that's like 50 yards of bank. Just kind of based on the fish being in the dirt. A light spinnerbait, light swim jig, light bladed jig seems to be the deal. I'm actually adding this trailer. I can't tell you the name of it yet. It's very pretty, but for some added buoyancy more than anything, just lift, because these fish are waking. You could almost go frogging right now. I just don't want that spinnerbait getting down too deep. That sure is pretty. Adds a little weight for castability so I can get up tight on that bank. Wire to Fish has an office in northern Minnesota, and we're glacial lakes region. Our water clarity on a whole is very clear, so we're very accustomed to fishing light line presentations and natural looking lures. However, we have a lot of river systems too, and this is a lake that's a tributary to a river, and it drains a lot of bog, dark water. So we quickly found out through that chatterbait getting hit that, yeah, this makes sense to go with a bait that has some more flash and vibration in profile rather than something subtle. So gives them an easier time to find that bait than, say, you know, a subtle Texas rig floating worm up tight to that bank. And when you see fish waking on a bait, you know, we're trying to do a nice soft entry, but boy, they eat right away. Nick just got bit again. They can find it. Not that they wouldn't eat something more subtle, it's just, why go subtle when you can go bold and aggressive? It's a fun bite. And you don't need specialized gear for this. Just a small boat, a bow mount trolling motor is nice, and just go down the bank and cast a visible cover. And that's a blast. Like I said, the most important readout I have here is water temperature. I certainly do like keeping an eye on 360 if there was a laydown or something that provides some shallow water cover, you know, mud versus hard bottom that might absorb heat, could hold more fish, but you don't need a whole lot for this setup.
So we kind of found a little sweet spot here. This is kind of fast and furious. We found definitely a good little population of fish here, and like you've seen, Ryan's just been putting the raptors down, kind of picking apart this stuff. This area is just a little shallow water area just off the main lake basin, just kind of your typical springtime sweet spot. Again, these fish are getting ready to spawn. They're up here, up in the dirt, definitely sunbathing themselves, getting up in that super, super warm water. A ton of our bites have been literally against the bank. Like, I'm trying to get my bait stuck and pull it off. They're that tight, and all of a sudden that giant wake comes and they just smash that thing. Again, once we find this area like this where you have a bunch of these fish, really picking it apart, that's kind of what's fun about this two-man game too. Obviously there's just tons of action, but we can really pick this apart. This dirtier water, like Ryan had mentioned, it can be a little bit harder for those fish to really track down your bait. So dropping the raptors down, kind of picking apart these little sweet spots, these sticks that we see, these little cuts against the bank, just milking it for everything it's got. And there's a ton of fish up here. Once we find, you know, these little sweet spots, we're getting bit left and right. So it's a fun time.
And to expand on what Nick was saying, if you look right there, lily pads, that's always a good sign. They grow on soft mud bottom base, so your water temperature will usually be warmer where those pad stems are coming up. Those are a really good area. You can see a little root system there. Those are rhizomes, the root system for these lily pads. So it's a boggy bottom. You'll have chunks that break loose and holes. So it looks seemingly like a shallow flat, but there's inconsistencies to that bottom. It's soft, it's warm, there's cover, and just keep picking it apart. And we'll see. Yeah. You got bit too?
A little better.
Yeah, huh? So these are nice pre-spawn fish, just good action, decent average size, some small fish mixed in, some medium fish. We're still hunting for that big one, but just action. It's been a long winter for us, like 6 months of ice. So when this time of year comes around, we're pretty jonesing to get out and do this, just go throw baits around shallow. And it's just fun casting. You know, we're rusty on our casting accuracy. It just feels good. And it's nice to have a bait that you can feel back. Chatterbait, a spinnerbait, I mean, who doesn't love whipping that around in the spring and just having the blades pause, miss a beat, feel that vacuum, and then wait. It's just easy. And we're actually supporting a new survey that the Minnesota DNR put out to potentially expand our catch and release season so it's all year long like it is in all of the other states with the exception of northern Maine. So we'll drop a link in the video description. Check it out. Go weigh in. If you fish Minnesota, if you have an interest in fishing Minnesota, if you live in Minnesota, you know, we encourage you to go read the science, and the science says that there shouldn't be any adverse impacts to largemouth or smallmouth bass populations with the expanded catch and release season. And what we're really talking about there is just when the ice goes out on the lakes, we can put a boat in and go fish for bass. Whereas right now, on an average year, we have to wait anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to go fishing after the ice goes out and legally target largemouth bass. So good expanded opportunities for kids to enjoy some of the easiest, you know, most productive fishing of the year. and just have fun, you know? There we go. Little better, guys, huh? Spinnerbait fish, nice. Pretty girl. She ate it good, look at that. Little double willow. Ooh, nice. They're getting bigger, Nick.